There we go. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, class. This is kind of an emotional, and I know I can speak on behalf of the speaker and the majority leader. It's kind of an emotional return here, Pastor, because we gathered here literally, I think it might have been on day one or close to day one of our first term. And it feels like it was in the way distant past when you think about where the minimum wage was 6 years ago this month versus where it is today and where it will continue to go. So it's at $15.13, thanks to the speaker who led the charge in the assembly and the majority leader and many of the representatives here today. And I want to give Steve Sweeney a shout out in absentia. We, among other things, not only got it done, but got it done adjusted for inflation. So this will continue to go up. Now, I'm not rooting for inflation. Yeah. I'm not rooting for inflation, to be sure. But you could envision a minimum wage by the time, at least in my case, that we hang up our cleats, that could be almost double what it was in 2017 before we got here. And I think it's shameful that the federal, Rob, I believe the federal minimum wage remains at $7.25, which is a shame beyond any description. So this is at one level gathering today to do a little collective pat on our back because we've made a huge difference, all of us together. And secondly, to acknowledge what this change has meant in the lives of people who, in some cases, who were gathered with us 6 years ago this month. I want to thank everybody up here with me, and I know, I believe Tiffany is running late due to a sick baby. Is she still hoping to be here, do we know? Darren is saying yes. But I want to acknowledge a few people by name before we begin. First of all, Pastor, thank you for hosting us again so graciously. It's good to be back. It's an honor for us, I promise you. Lieutenant Governor Tahisha Way is with us. Thank you, Tahisha. In the Assembly, we have the Speaker of the General Assembly and one of the driving forces behind getting minimum wage. And by the way, I said minimum wage, but also earned sick leave, which has been a big passion of yours, Craig. So to you, Ileana, who is here back in the lineup as our esteemed budget chair, and we're in your backyard. Congratulations again on the birth, and great to have you back and everything you've done here. Angela, who is wearing two hats today, was in the Assembly with this crowd and is moving on over to the Senate. Angela McKnight, it's an honor to have you with us. And Tom Giblin, who's a great labor leader, a great legislator, a great public servant, who's hanging up his spikes. And on the Senate side, it is represented by a great leader, our majority leader, again, Newark's own. Please, let's hear it for Majority Leader Senator Teresa Ruiz. And we've got Maria Carmen, who we're going to hear from in a few moments. Nancy Vega is with us, and as I mentioned, Tiffany Green Hayward is not able to be with us. Cleo Tucker has just joined us from the Assembly. Cleo, also Newark's own. I want to give Rob Acero Angelo, our great Commissioner of Labor and Workforce Development, a shout out. Well done. Essex County Commissioner just stepped down as the head of that august group last night after having done an extraordinary term. Wayne Richardson is in the house. Wayne. Michael Silva from the Newark Council is with us. Michael, great to have you with us. And to all of the advocates, labor leaders, and other VIPs here, and faith leaders, I say thank you for everything you did. Because, Anibal, speaking of Newark Council, would you like a seat? I think we can accommodate you over here. Nice to see you, buddy. see you. How are you? I'm going to start asking a few questions here in a moment. I would say, Craig and Teresa, and the other legislators, I would ask just rhetorically as a general matter, it's when you think about particularly coming through the pandemic, the debates that we had around minimum wage almost feel quaint, right? I mean, good luck in the summer of 2020 to pick a point finding anything that was paying less than a significant wage. And that doesn't make light of what we've done, but I wish we had gotten there sooner, and this is on me as much as anybody, and I wish the ramp up had been faster. And while I mentioned the fact that the inflation component, which is a huge deal, and I give the legislators a lot of credit for that, we'll make sure this continues to go up. I think, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I'll speak for myself. I'm open-minded to consider what else we can do, particularly given where inflation may be headed. So, yeah. And so, on that note, let's keep our minds open. And by the way, Craig, you've been a big proponent of earned sick leave and expanding that, and that is, at least conceptually, has to be something that we also consider. And I'll go back to Rob, and because he gathers with the feds even more frequently than I do, and many of us do. Let's do everything we can to get the feds to move off the dime here. 7.25 is not just below poverty; it's well below poverty, and you've got people with no choice but to work 2 or 3 jobs as a result of that. And so let's hope that we can not just have New Jersey as some sort of a beacon, but also that can spread more broadly. Again, I'm incredibly honored to be here today. And again, Pastor, thank you for hosting us again in the great brick city. With that, I'd love to ask for brief comments from our great Lieutenant Governor and Secretary of State, Tahisha Way. Tahisha?
Thank you, Governor, and good morning to everyone. I tell you, it is such a beautiful day. It's an honor and a privilege to be alongside the Governor, the Senator, the Speaker, and all those who are at this table. I know I come from a working class family, and I truly, like everyone out here, understands the need, right, to make certain that each and every one of us who are hardworking can deserve a better future, not only for him or herself, but for all. So with that, I just want to close and again thank each and every one of you from day one. I was not here, but of course I was here in spirit, carrying out Gov. You have truly, truly underscored stronger and fairer today and beyond. So thank you for all you're doing, and again to the partners.
Tahisha, thank you. Speaker, any brief introductory thoughts you've got?
Well, thank you, Governor. First, thanks everybody for coming out. I hope everybody has a wonderful, happy, successful New Year, and let's all pray for peace. I think it's terrific to be here. This is something to celebrate. Whenever we can do something that improves the quality of life for so many New Jerseyans, Governor, and let me commend you first for your great leadership on this and partnership and all that we have done, because we have done so much, and we'll talk about some of those things later as we get through some of the questions. But thank everybody here for recognizing. Thanks for constantly being a voice to stand up for those who don't generally have much of a voice, who don't have a constituency, who don't have a contract lobbyist or somebody else to bring things to their attention. So that's what the people in this room do. These are the things, programs that we're talking about: minimum wage, earned sick leaves, family leave. Those are things that change the quality of people's lives, and that's what you should be so proud of yourselves for having achieved. changing people's lives is a big deal. And if we do that, we do enough of that, we're going to change the world. So thank you for all that you do. Thank you for letting me be here and be part of it. Thanks, God, for letting me be smart enough to listen to you when you talk to me. And thanks for working together, Governor, with you and with the Senate. We have terrific partners up and down. I think we're true to our democratic principles, and I think we're true to making sure that New Jersey continues to move forward. I'm privileged to be part of that.
Amen, and thank you for your leadership. May I ask the Majority Leader, Senator, any general brief thoughts before we jump in?
Thank you, Governor. And Governor, Speaker, LG, everyone in the room, welcome to the best district in the state of New Jersey, District 29, the largest city, the city of Newark. But most importantly, to the pastor, thank you for inviting us here. If you're not familiar with St. Stephen's, you won't know that this is really a genesis of where justice comes out of. This is the place where people culminate and see it as a beacon of hope. For so many of us who are first-generation New Jerseyans, right, there are always stories of families connecting with a local church to improve the quality of life, because that begins to set the pathway of how living in this country is, how living in this state is. That happens within these walls here. And not solely does it happen here, that engine gets invigorated and gets on the turnpike and drives down to the State House, and the passion and determination that echoes in the hallways, as the speaker said, you have no choice but to listen to the truth. Because that is ultimately what we're talking about today. How is New Jersey really dealing with our families in conscientious truth and policy? How are we improving the quality of life in a real way when we recognize what our issues are, what we look like, how some of us have different avenues to pursue when it comes to economic development, how some of our families don't have a Social Security number, but we're dealing in policy in that way. And I think that's so important, because you can't turn a blind eye to who we are and who our families are in the Garden State. And today New Jersey is stepping up in big ways that other states can look to, but most importantly that the federal government should be paying attention to raise the ceiling of the poverty level that was set in 1960. If everybody were to really steep policy in truthful conversations, this country, the state, our communities, Essex County and Newark would be a much better place.
Amen. Well said. Pastor Wirish, St. Stephen's has been a bastion, as the Senator said, for this community, not just in the sanctuary, but what you mean in the broader community. And as you think about the journey we've traveled with minimum wage over the past 6 years and the journey yet to be traveled, how has it impacted your congregation and the local community? And again, deep, deep thanks for hosting us yet again this morning.
Thank you all for being here, and thank you, Governor, for coming here to this community to celebrate this important time with us. I just want to say one word first in recognition. I started serving here in 1997 and in 2007 in this church, and there was a group of seniors. They would proudly tell me that they would go and brush the stained glass windows with a toothbrush, taking care of this place. So now they're basically all gone in the past or moved out, but they left this legacy of this building. And whenever there is an event like such an event like today, I give thanks to God for the legacy that they left and how we can continue. And that's one of the reasons why we have been involved in working for justice, because it's so central in the Holy Scriptures. Justice, how you treat each other, but especially how you take care of the most vulnerable. I have been serving here for 25 years in this community, and I love this community because I think we celebrate diversity in the many different ways in this community. And our work as a church here is to help people to recognize their power, their dignity, and also to take part of this community and of this country, which they now, since we have mostly immigrants, many of them newly arrived immigrants. Oftentimes, people think, oh, I don't have anything what can I say? But we all have something to say. And I think this experience of the minimum wage is an exercise of democracy, because we have been part for the church with leaders, and I see folks here from New Labor, from 32 BJs and other leaders in the community, that we have been, shouting out for a better minimum wage. And we are so thankful for the governor and for all the elected officials who took on this fight with us, and so that we are now on 15.13, while the federal minimum wage is still $7.25. I'll just give one example or a little bit of a story to see how important this is. Minimum wage especially matters to our community because we have people who are on low income, and many of them immigrants, or most of them immigrants, which have a hard time to go out there and fight, I really deserve this, should be my salary. This should be my pay. They're very happy if they get a job, so they oftentimes are victims of abuse and all of that in relation. So to have this established from a higher point of view, so that it's a law in New Jersey, it's a rule, it's something that needs to be followed, really protects our community. For example, we have families who, the two parents and with 3 small children, they will, kind of do some gymnastics around so that one of them works during the day and the other works during the night, so that they have always an adult around to take care of the children, taking care of the kids, and also have enough income to pay for the bills. And especially we know that these days housing is becoming very expensive in our area. Yeah, so it is something to say, to talk about the numbers of minimum wage, but it's another thing to think about what does it mean for this family, the difference in pay for a living wage and a minimum wage that we have now. What is the difference that it makes? As a church, and not just the church, many other organizations, we work here close together with the Ironbound Community Corporation and other organizations in the community. We all depend on the generosity of our community. How can you expect this generosity, even if people are very generous, result in enough support for our organizations if their wages are low? So I always say that, whenever we better a salary, we are bettering the life of everyone in the community. Also, if you walk around here, you will see that we have a lot of stores around, small restaurants, some larger restaurants, little stores, little supermarkets or convenience stores. If people get a better wage, they will automatically go out there and buy something else. Not necessarily something that they don't need, something that they need, but they were cutting out because they didn't have money enough. So it is for the person, but then it translates into our churches and organizations that will do better, and then it goes on to all, the businesses around. There's no way that we have quality of life in our community if we have, salaries that do not pay, a living wage, that do not cover their costs. And the costs of living, both, as I said, housing and food, it's really high. We also have a feeding programs every Saturday morning here. And my heart is always, broken when I see the line going up farther down from Wilson Avenue School, and in reality, how much can you give? A little bag of food, that's kind of what we can give out. So, again, thank you so much, because it depends on the community organizing, but it depends on our elected officials and our governor to listen to the community and to be compassionate to our community. So, thank you again.
Thank you, Pastor.
And let's continue this work.
You're doing extraordinary work. So I'm going to go to Nancy next, but before I do, I want to underscore 2 things the pastor said. Number one, remember the doomsayers who said it's either or? If you pay workers more money, you're going to put businesses out of business. If you pay them less money, you'll keep businesses in business. Turns out we can have it both ways. And it's not just speculation, it's a fact. I have the honor of delivering my State of the State address next week. Thank you, by the way, for being one of my hosts, to each of you. And a data point that I will hit is not only is minimum wage at $15.13 and going up, but over the past, since our time in office, 60, this is through a pandemic, 60,000 small businesses have been created. We are now at an all-time high. So it turns out, folks, this just in, you can have it both ways. Secondly, may this never become abstract, which I think was your compelling point, that this is, and Craig made this as well, these are lives we're talking about. And I look back at my notes, and I think we had Tiffany, Marie, Carmen, and Nancy with us back 6 years ago. A woman named Davika Smith was with us in 2018 who could not be here today. But I think I asked her, what will $15 an hour mean for you? And this was her quote, which I looked up. It will never make me rich or let me go on trips around the world, but it will give me a sense of comfort. And I thought to myself, you know what? Please, I hope it does make her rich and lets her go around the world. Let's always root for that. But that point of comfort, that you don't have to do as much of the gymnastics, Pastor, that you're talking about. So thank you. I want to turn to our friend Nancy Vega on the left, and it's, again, a pleasure to be with you. And I think we were together, and Tiffany was with us. Is Tiffany still going to join us, Emmy or Martel? Still waiting? Okay. Somebody just throw a piece of paper at me at some point and let me know. Preferably not more than that. I wonder if I could ask Nancy, and I appreciate your helping interpret and translate today, so thank you, sir. Since we last met, how have you benefited, in this case, from paid sick leave, not just minimum wage, and how do you hope to continue to benefit from New Jersey's, again, increased minimum wage? And again, it's an honor to have you with us. And by the way, let's hear it from Make the Road. I think it's not an overstatement in any way, and there are many advocacy groups here today, so to all of you I say thank you, but I can say specifically to Make the Road, we wouldn't be here today without you.
Gracias. Gracias primeramente al gobernador por la invitación, realmente por este impacto de estas dos leyes que fueron aprobadas para nuestra comunidad.
First, thank you to the governor for bringing this meeting together and for helping us to pass these two laws that are really making a difference in our communities.
Mi nombre es Nancy Vega, soy trabajadora y madre de esta comunidad, de este estado. He trabajado y vivido por más de 20 años. El impacto de esta ley en mi persona realmente ha sido muy agradecido. Tengo a mi madre que está enferma, tengo a mis hijos también que necesitaban el cuidado mío cuando tenía a mi madre enferma en el tiempo que ella necesita unas terapias porque está mal. Podría yo usar estos días de enfermedad pagadas.
My name is Nancy Vega. I'm a working mother. I've lived here in New Jersey for 20 years and been a part of Make the Road for over 10 years. I really want to make sure that the importance of these laws are understood as a working mother, particularly with the paid sick days. It's given me the chance to take care of sick family members, particularly my mother, that I wouldn't have been able to take care of otherwise.
Yo realmente soy representante de nuestra comunidad, represento a la organización Make the Road New Jersey. Hemos peleado día a día por ganar esta ley y gracias que el gobernador y gracias a nuestra comunidad por pelear por estas dos leyes, ahora estamos beneficiados. Soy una parte, conozco a gente realmente que no se les paga los días de enfermedad, que no pueden ser beneficiados con esta ley porque simplemente tienen menos trabajadores en una fábrica o menos trabajadores en una tienda, en un store. Conozco esa ley, conozco a esas personas, pero ahora mi voz, mi comunidad, mi organización, vamos a pelear para que esto no suceda y todas las personas se puedan beneficiar.
I've been a part of an organization that fought day after day to pass these types of laws, and I've been able to see the benefits directly. I've also seen people who have not been able to benefit directly from them yet, and it's important that we extend the enforcement of these laws and also the coverage of these laws to everyone. As a representative of my community and through this organization, I see the impacts of it, both positive and negative, and hope to keep working towards positive solutions.
Es difícil también imaginar cómo podríamos nosotros como comunidad vivir si el sueldo mínimo realmente no hubiera sido aprobado a 15.3. No, tenemos mucha gente realmente que con un sueldo bajo de esto no podría sobrevivir. Los precios han subido, la economía ha subido, la gasolina, los salarios, todo ha subido. Realmente, si no hubiera sido por esa ley que ahora recién en este año ha sido aprobado o va a ser realmente, como se dice, ley, entonces recién ahora nos podemos beneficiar de un salario digno para ir y con mucho respeto para toda nuestra comunidad.
It's important for us when we're looking at the results of these two laws to think about what life would be like if we hadn't been able to pass these two laws, what it would be like if we had still a lower minimum wage while gas prices are going up, costs are going up, rent is going up, everything else is going up. So it's important that we were able to get the inflation adjustment into this law, but it's also important when we're celebrating this victory to understand what life would be like for people like me in our communities if we hadn't passed these laws.
Muchísimas gracias al gobernador, muchísimas gracias por estas dos leyes y vamos a continuar peleando por más, vamos a continuar por un incremento más de este salario para tener una vida llena de mucha dignidad y respeto. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, Governor, for standing with us and for everyone else in the room for getting this law passed. And we are going to stay in this fight to make sure that we're every day we are improving conditions for working New Jersey families that keep our economy running. Thank you all again.
Ella está un poco delicada de salud. Yo necesito 2 veces a la semana ir a una terapia con ella, entonces yo para eso uso mis días de enfermedad.
She's still in a tough place with her health, and I need to twice a week take her to therapy. So that is what I use my paid sick days for, is to be able to take care of her and get her the therapy that she needs.
And is your employer good with this? Okay.
Sí, mi employer, exacto, sí está cumpliendo.
You mentioned,
Yes.
yes. Okay, let one of us know here if that changes. Rob, you don't have a microphone, but I want to put you on the spot. Nancy mentioned enforcement and whether or not we know it's the law of the land, but is it being evenly enforced, and what's your sense of that?
Yeah, a couple of things on the earned sick days. Certainly still education for the employers, but we've doubled the number of enforcement agents in the department in our time here in 5 years. And like you said, Governor, our biggest enforcement tool is showing businesses that they can continue to thrive even with paying a higher minimum wage, even with having earned sick days, because they can have a great employee like Nancy continue to work there while also taking care of her family. Who wants to come to work when they can't, with the discomfort,
Yep.
as was mentioned earlier, of not knowing if you can take care of your family. So we're working with employees across the state on the carrot side as well as the stick side.
I mean, it's not dissimilar, Tom Giblin in particular, and other members of the labor organizations here. It's not dissimilar from efforts on misclassification, frankly, where you just have to go out there. And it's a whole of government approach. You not only need great laws, thanks to our legislators, but you need labor, typically the treasurer, typically the attorney general, and that's how we approach it. Anyway, one more time for Nancy. Thank you. I'm going to go all to my right to Marie Carmen Molina, who is a laundry distribution and food service member. Great to have you back with us. You look a little lonely over there with Tiffany not being here, but trust me, you're part of the family. I'm told, and tell me if I've got this right, that prior to the minimum wage increase, you had to juggle more than one job. And I'd love to ask you, how has this increase impacted that? And has it allowed you to migrate to one job and not two? And how has it just more broadly impacted your life and your family? And again, it's great to have you.
Thank you. Good morning.
You want to hit the
No,
green-
mine's is kind of.
You're on. Okay. You're
Yes.
hot. You got a hot mic there.
Hello, good morning, Monica Molina. Nice to be here. That's correct. 6 years ago, I used to work 2 jobs, 7 days a week. Now I only have one, thankfully. So that's, I do. Yes. Thanks to my union as well. You know, I'm 1725. I make $17.25, so I'm way above the minimum wage, thanks to you guys, my union, and all of us here. I had a baby as well, so I'm able to live and provide her with what she needs, but most importantly, be a present mom. Because if I were to have 2 jobs, she will be missing what she needs the most, which is mom and my love and time. So thankfully, I'm able to do both, provide to her what she needs, what I need, and be there, be present, be here, and be alive, you know? I'm okay. I have everything I need, and I'm able to work. I took the paid family leave because I had her. I took the maternity leave, the bonding, so I was able to spend more time with her, enjoy her, and have my kids. And many people feel the same. Many. A lot of people. I work at a 600 people warehouse, and a lot of people feel the same. So thank you to all of us here.
What is your daughter's name?
Violet.
Violet, I love that. And how old is she now?
1, just turned 1.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
Okay. God bless her.
So
Let's hear-
thank you. More victories to come.
Yeah. Here.
Thank you.
I promise you we won't leave you out there by yourself next time we gather, assuming the pastor will be good enough to have us back. Tiffany's not going to be with us. She was with us 6 years ago, and I think it's because she may have a sick child, so keep them all in your prayers. She's a food service worker and a mom, and I can only imagine the answer to her question would probably have been similar to yours, Marie Carmen, that this is a big deal. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that Tiffany is a member of 32. Just checking. Making sure you're still awake out there. We started with our extraordinary elected officials, and I wonder if I could, before we close out, ask each of them to say a word or two. And by the way, you pick how you want to think about this, and I'll leave it up to you. Maybe we'll go Tahisha, Craig, Teresa. Any other stories of real lives that you're aware of where it's been a game changer? Maybe your magic wand as to where we go from here, whether it's earned sick leave or minimum wage. Other steps we could take to continue to bolster. Pastor said something which I was going to make as part of my rant, that we have both more small businesses and increased minimum wage. And that is, guess what? When pick up money in their pocket, they do something with it. They maybe put a socket away for a kid's education, or maybe it's something, maybe it's the one meal out a week at that small restaurant in the Ironbound you're talking about that they otherwise wouldn't have been to. And it's quite clear, and all of the studies over decades prove that money gets reinvested in the real economy, and everybody, all boats rise. But with that, Tahisha, either your magic wand, what this has meant to you, or any other words of wisdom.
Sure, Governor. I just want to call forth some data points which are significant and important. When we think about when you first entered office, the minimum wage was at $8.60. $8.60. And now $15.13, which is above what was projected when you and the legislature ushered in this law in 2019. That's really significant. It's also significant that now we have captured about 350,000 more of these New Jersey and hard workers, right, out of the 1.9 million hourly workers this will affect, and their annual incomes will rise by 13,000. Okay, that's for the present moms such as Marie Carmen over there. And that too is important, the recognition and the value of being present for your kids, and at the same time creating a valuable and better future for them. And at the same time, this also strengthens our economic sphere, if you will, as some have already noted. And I just want to say prayers up to Nancy's mom before I close, and then the pastor. He spoke something that rings true to my core when he mentioned democracy and how this dovetails into our democracy. I know in my other world of Secretary of State, I oftentimes comment that it is great to be a voter in New Jersey because how you, Governor, and the legislature have also taken the lead in opening up and making democracy accessible to all. While similarly, it's great to be a full-time worker here in New Jersey because now folk can really reap the benefit, be there for your kids, offer up a better opportunity for themselves and for their families, and of course the communities, and of course, finally, for our economy and its growth. And I so very much look forward to continuing the partnership across all levels in making certain that New Jersey rings true, if you will, to economic growth for all of our families. So thank you.
Hear, hear to all. Thank you. We've said this in one way or another since we've gathered here this morning, but let me say it very explicitly. We're also the quintessential American organized labor state, and we cannot underestimate the role that labor plays. Look at what 32BJ was able to accomplish last month. Look at the fact that while we celebrate, we're at 1513, you're already at 1725. And may we always be that state, because I think we are, I think Rob would know this better than anybody, I think the nation, as it relates to organized labor, looks to New Jersey. Amen. I had to make sure Fran was paying attention to me out there. I wanted to make sure I hit that right between the eyes, Fran. Speaker, we wouldn't be here without you. It's all well and good. People say nice things about me. This doesn't happen unless a bill gets to the desk or multiple bills gets to the desk that I have the honor of signing. And Speaker, you've been right there from moment one. Over to you.
Thank you, Governor, and just thank you everybody on the panel. Pastor, thanks for hosting. It's a privilege to be on with you, Marie Carmen and Nancy and everybody who I have the privilege of being with. Look, I think all of the themes that really come out we've heard here this morning. We recognize and we respect businesses, and we recognize that we need to have business because that's where the jobs are that people are going to come. But I can tell you, I thought this would be relatively easy in a state like New Jersey when we began to move to $15 an hour. I would have thought that people were embarrassed that $7.25 was enough. I hope there's people who can't sleep at night from other states who won't raise their minimum wage. It's just not fair, and that's how we continue to move this ball forward, by recognizing the fundamental truth that what is good for people is good for all of us. We are all better off when we have family leave. We are all better off when the minimum wage is higher. We are all better off when people have sick leave that they get paid to do. Why? Well, for the obvious reasons, right? Our economy is best when people are out spending money. When people have the opportunity to do that, or they have the opportunity to do one job instead of two, because they can get involved in their community. There's a practical advantage to all of us. I have had the opportunity now these last several months. You can coo in a minute. I have my first two grandkids. One is 10 months old and one is 8 months old. Thank you. They're incredibly adorable, and I had the opportunity to see up close and personal what it meant for my sons and my daughter-in-laws to be able to stay home from their work. Now, they don't have to worry about going back to work. They're going to be able to do that. But everybody ought to have that ability to sit at home, to be at home, not just to sit at home. God knows it's a lot of work. But to be able to be at home, to bond with their kids, and to care for their parents. We're better off. And by the way, we save money. If Marie, Carmen, or Nancy are Nancy, you're taking your mom to get treatment, well, we don't have to figure out a way to make sure she gets there, which means we don't have to pay for it. You get to do that. And by the way, it's better for her. The more that we do, the more people are able to live with dignity in their lives, the better off we are as a society. The people don't have to worry about the things, it's the fundamental things of each day. You know, we've done an inordinate amount of work in the area of food insecurity. I think that is one of the things that we ought to be incredibly proud of. We lead the nation. What we talk about as being things that we've already done, other states talk about in aspirational terms. And the governor talked about us being the best state for labor. In fact, we're ahead. One of the reasons that we're voted as the best place to live, the best place to raise a family, is because we're committed to this, because we recognize the fundamental fairness of what it means to support people and give them the chance to do the things to live a good, healthy, involved life. It's better for all of us. I heard from every McDonald's owner that they were going to go out of business, and I challenged them to say, okay, good, I dare you. Guess how many closed? None, to my knowledge, right? In fact, every time I turn around, there's some new fast food place, that or a bank. Yeah, no, we must be doing all right, right? Every time I turn around, they're building a new bank. But the truth of the matter is, we're best when we are all pushing in the same direction. When you do well, I do well, and I think that fundamental truth is the thing that will help us to continue to move these things forward. Marie Carmen, you are probably the best living example of anyone I can think of. You got to take time off to make sure your baby was well. You get to take time off to make sure that Violet is getting well treated and bonding with her and understanding all those things. And you get to have one less job, which means you get to spend more time with her and your other members of your family. And I'll bet you help your mother, and I'll bet you or your father or other family members, and maybe do something in the community. That's why this is all so important, because it's so good for all of us. And so, Governor, let's keep up the good work. Let's continue to do these things. Teresa, you're a tremendous leader in this regard as well. Nobody cares more about making a difference in people's lives. Thanks, everybody, for being here. At this time of the year, let's resolve in this new year to continue to do the good stuff that we're doing. Amen. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you. Really well said, and congrats again on the two precious grandchildren. We're going to close it out with Newark's own, in many respects, in addition to the pastor, our host this morning, the Majority Leader, Senator Teresa Ruiz. Teresa, over to you.
Thank you, Governor. Speaker, you were singing music. Eliana was looking at me because my Cheshire smile was from one corner of my face all the way to the other. Music to my ears. The better our neighbors do, the better we do, the better the state does, the better the country does. And until we fundamentally do not accept that as a common core principle of this country, we will lose. We will lose the fight on policy, and we will lose the fight on making sure that equity serves us all respectively. The governor asked a magic wand, so I don't know why none of the other elected officials didn't pitch anything, but I am going to take this opportunity
I'm shocked.
You're shocked, right, Governor? It's the Joe D model. Whenever you can get something in, get it in. You know, we should look at, the pastor said it clearly, more money in the pocket of people who live in neighborhoods, economic development is spurred. People go out and spend, they shop locally, small businesses thrive. It's the cycle of the circle of economic development. We should expand earned income tax credit. We have bills on the table that would include more people into the fold, and we know for a fact that these policies and these practices, a dollar goes into someone's pocket, and at least 60 cents of that goes back into the neighborhoods. You know, we've heard clearer stories than what Nancy and Mari Carmen have shared. Even thinking about the baby is 1 year old. Do you have enough access to childcare? Is it at a price point that you can afford? Are certain deserts like the city of Newark, do we have enough infant and toddler seats in these spaces? I mean, this conversation is so much broader than what New Jersey is proudly announcing today. I think initially your office had asked, Governor, can you share a story? I'm going to share a story that dates way back. My dad, when he moved here, and I don't know if it was hyperbole, but it might be fair. It was the 60s. He could have been making. He used to work at a cheese factory, and I think he was making 90 some odd cents an hour, which is mind-boggling, right? But they were able to save. They were able to open a bank account, and they were able to purchase a home, because at that time, this country still created a ladder for opportunity for success. But something happened over the years and the decades. The ladder kept moving farther and farther and farther away. And I will tell you that finally New Jersey woke up and started restructuring that foundation to truly tell people that if you work hard, if you try hard, if you're given fair and equal opportunities, you can improve your quality of life. Paid family leave and the increase in minimum wage are great starts. But if you look at the Alice reports, you still need around $22, $23 to live and survive in the state of New Jersey. So there is much work that we still have to do. When you think about it, and I want to echo the governor's comments in welcoming back Budget Chair Eliana Pintor-Marin, who's just returning back from maternity leave. But when you think about other countries, it was mind-boggling to me to watch a Hulu series one year, and the woman says to her friend, I'm going to go back to work. And she responds to her and says, but you still have 320 some odd days. And I said, what? And it took me a while to register that the country they were living in offered women a year to bond with their families and children. And this is not a conversation for New Jersey, because New Jersey is stepping up. We increased the pay also on January 1st, an additional $25 a week through a bill that we did. And I will tell you, $25 when you have to buy diapers is a big thing. We also modified and streamlined when we get access to the card, because I will tell you that when I was out on maternity leave, I didn't have the extended time frame. I didn't receive my benefits until I was to return back to work. And this administration has changed that. I was fortunate. I had a partner at home. I didn't need that. But someone who's raising their child, you cannot wait 3 or 4 weeks to have access to those benefits. We have remedied those pathways, and we have done extraordinary work in those spaces. When you look at this room and you think that Latina women are the lowest paid in this country, close to 65 cents less on the dollar than their white male counterparts, we still have incredible work to do. Women are the hand that rocks the cradle. Women are the epicenter of society. Women, when supported and resourced and respected and given opportunities to flourish, like minimum wage, access to childcare, taking an opportunity to spend some time at home, making sure that she doesn't have to have the guilt of picking, going to work, or taking care of her mother. When New Jersey has stepped into those folds and created those real bridges, not with just talk and talking about we should, but we have done, we should applaud the Garden State, from the Assembly Chamber all the way to the Golden Dome, to the Governor's Office, to the Department of Labor, to the Secretary of State, and most importantly to the advocates who remind us that not everyone experiences this world, this economy, and this life in the same way through the same lens. But with responsible action, you can always create policy that impacts everyone in some way. It may look different for Nancy than it will look for me, but it will benefit the both of us. And I think that's the key work. So for the new year, I hope that we continue to do more of the same, making sure that our children have access to healthy meals, making sure that they're going to a high quality school where they can read at their grade level, making sure that we're empowering each of our families to do exactly what all of us have wanted for our own children, which is just to improve the quality of life. New Jersey has demonstrated that today. I can guarantee you that New Jersey will continue to demonstrate that tomorrow, and New Jersey will continue to work to be sure that the true story of this country is echoed, that we know who built this country on their backs, that we respect our families, and that we really, when we say we're going to step into those spaces and lift all boats, that we're doing it fundamentally with a tangible solution and not just with, you know, stories during political season. So thank you, everybody.
Hear, hear.
Oh, Governor, I would be remiss, sorry, since I'm the only one here. Quiero darle las gracias a todo el mundo aquí que están, yo sé que ustedes trabajan sumamente fuerte. Encima de eso, han cogido tiempo para a lograr estas metas cuando han venido a Trenton, cogiendo personalmente para hablar con todos los elegidos, para que entiendan las historias de nuestras comunidades. Porque a veces nosotros estamos solos cuando estamos representando a nuestras comunidades. Se le olvidan quién son las caras que nosotros estamos intentando a darles los recursos o para que tengan una mejor calidad de vida. So, gracias a todos ustedes.
Well done. Well done. I'm tempted to say you took the words right out of my mouth, but those of you who know me, and that's most of this room, would know that that would be a false statement. Thank you for those words of great passion. I don't disagree with a comma. So, Pastor, thank you for hosting us. Marie Carmen, Nancy, thank you, sir, again for your help. Speaker, leader, Lieutenant Governor, to all the advocates, union leaders, other elected officials, members of our team, faith leaders, a pretty extraordinary mountain we are climbing. We are not at the peak, and nor will we ever accept that we're at the peak. God bless you all. Happy New Year. Que Dios te bendiga.